Peekaboo! I see you! Hide and seek! Pasensya na po kayo. Ano nangyari kay Cito? Why is he being so playful and so childish? Well, apparently, that is now the game. Playing hide and seek. Some people, diretsa na lang po sabi kasi ni Presidente kagabi, sinasadya daw niya na hindi nagpapakita. He intentionally did not show himself because like a little boy, who is challenged, he felt, challenged by these critics who were asking if he's still alive. So to infuriate them or to irritate them, he made himself less scarce. In other words, they played hide and seek. Taguang, tawag sa Tagalog? Taguampong? Ewan ko po. Anyway, welcome to the program. I'm your host, Cito Beltran, and this is Agenda on Signal TV Channels 8 and 250, as well as on Facebook.com/OneNewsPH. And on YouTube, you can watch us by typing in or writing One News PH. And syempre, if you have the Signal Play app, you can watch us anywhere on the go. Kung wala pa po kayong signal or hindi pa kayo nagpapakabit ng PLDT home fiber internet, magpakabit na po kayo, lalo na doon sa mga kaibigan natin who are often being interviewed or conducting webinars, etc. You need reliable internet service, and PLDT home fiber internet gives you that. Hindi po ako bayad na endorser, hindi kami ina-advertise ng PLDT, although that would be nice, pero hindi po, no, as far as I know, kasi nandito ako sa Lipa City, no, malay ko kung ano nangyayari dyan. But here's the thing, I'm really impressed with the service because in Lipa or in Kapitolyo, Pasig, we've never had any problems. Anyway, welcome to the program. Anong araw na ba ngayon? April 13. 2021, Tuesday, and a lot of things are happening. But right now, I just want to mention something, no? Kasi hindi na po tayo masyadong nakakalabas because of things that are happening. But nowadays, I had the revelation from the Lord last night. Kasi meron pong mga naging issue concerning certain government officials na kumbaga pinupuna ng ilang tao. And what's happened in the Philippines is we go after people. Kumbaga, hindi, ayoko dyan kay secretary ganito, ganyan, or I don't like that broadcaster. Parang nagiging personal. That's petty. I have to say, no, petty. I mean, generally kami po sa media, we go after individuals because if you don't name names, they don't react, they don't respond. And there is always a public accountability. But as much as possible, let's attack the system, not the persons. Kasi like yesterday, I wrote about no compassion in compassionate use. The attack was towards the issue of compassionate use and the requirements of the compassionate use permit laid down by the FDA, okay? It is not about the Director General or some undersecretary or some director or manager. Wala po, hindi po. Ako po, personally, mapitik ko o pitikin ako, kakausapin ko pa rin, okay? Attack the system. That was the revelation of the Lord to me last night. Go and do your work. Focus on what's wrong with the system, not the persons. Because like with this issue about buhay pa ba or nasaan si Presidente, for all you know, it might be an internally generated intrigue by some people around the President para maiba ang usapan. Ano po ibig sabihin? Wala tayong bakuna. Punuan na mga ospital. Namumroblema na ang lipunan. Ang dami ko pong kaibigan, dumadaing, nagbebenta ng gamit. They're liquidating. The most painful word nowadays, liquidate. halos maliquidate na yung pamilya mo o yung mahal mo sa buhay by COVID-19, and then you're forced to liquidate your life savings, even the very roof over your head, okay? And we're going to discuss where is the president or the president riding the motorcycle, etc., etc. Please, don't waste your time on these petty things. If you need to be a critic, criticize the wrong things, the wrong system, the wrong solutions, not the people, because end of the day, parang you give them publicity. Good publicity, bad publicity, still publicity. Yan po yung pinupustahan ng ilang opisyal. Kaya mapasama, mapabuti, pagdating ng eleksyon, matatandaan yung pangalan nila. Whether, pati kontrabida. Hanggang ngayon nga, si Max Alvarado, natatandaan ko pa. Si Paquito Diaz, lahat yan, natatandaan. Kahit na kontrabida sila, natatandaan natin sila. Okay, let's go to do sa mga bumabati sa akin. Napaaga kayo, bukas pa. Okay. Good morning, Mr. Froilan Dityan Kin. Okay, of Gili. Gili ba o Gili? Gili or Gili, no? Motors, good morning to you. And let's go to the front page of the Philippine Star. Malacanang maintains that Sinovac is effective against severe COVID-19 and therefore it's still okay as protection. This after a Chinese official admitted that China-made shots don't have high protection rates. Tell us something we don't already know. Meanwhile, the Trade Department has listed down the industries allowed to operate under modified enhanced community quarantine. Health services, yung mga hospital, ambulansya, etc., agriculture, and manufacturing are among those allowed to operate at 100% capacity, while banks, telecoms, and media may operate at 50% on-site capacity. So, ayan, yung mga tiga TV5, mga tiga Signal, mga nasa news group, tandaan nyo lang, nandiyan kayo para magmando, hindi para maglagay ng claim. Sasabihin nyo, akin itong 2 square meters at magtatayo na kayo ng mga tents nyo dyan. And finally, 6 in 10 adult Filipinos believe that the public should be informed of the health status of President Rodrigo Duterte according to a social weather station or SWS survey. Yan na po ang sinasabi ko sa inyo, Nagmukhang parang katakataka mga kaibigan, nagkasabay-sabay yung pangiintriga, yung pagsusurvey at bandang huli sinabi ni Pangulong sinasadya niya. Yan yung sinasabi kong, yan ang sinasabi. Yan sa Tagalog ba? Gawa-gawa laang. Okay, let's move on to our first interview. Someone I respect, someone I can really go to for information, and tsaka well endorsed by my friends. Sabi ko yan, huwag naman sana magka-problema ka doon ka kay Doc Rontgene pumunta at hindi ka pababayaan yan. Dr. Rontgene Solante, Infectious Diseases Head sa Lazaro Hospital. Doc Rontgene, good morning to you, Doc. Okay, looking good as always. Parang para ka lang college professor, Doc Rontgene. Anyway, Doc Rontgene, tanungan na bago magkaubusan. First question, kasi may nagsabi sa akin na expert din sa mga vaccines. You're one of your colleagues in the OST. Sabi sa akin, there are vaccines that are better against certain variants, and there is, I think, one vaccine na medyo mahina against another variant. Alam mo, lumalabas maraming variants na. 4 na yung variants dito sa Pilipinas. Bali 5 na kung bibilangin mo pati yung original. As far as the available vaccines are concerned, what's your reading? Is there a better vaccine or pare-pareho na yan?
Well, yung mga pagkakaalam natin sa mga efficacy ng different variant, depende kasi yan sa mga ginagawang pag-aaral din sa mga manufacturer ng bakuna, no? Kagaya ng bigyan lang kita ng example, AstraZeneca against the B117, it's 74% effective. Okay? And then against the South African variant, yung sa ginawa nila doon sa South Africa na data, it's only like 30%, no? But then meron isa yung J&J, isang trial site nila is also South Africa. Yung efficacy nila against the South African variant is more or less mga 50%, no? Tapos mataas yung efficacy nila sa B117 like 60 to 70%. Okay? So, ito yung mga bakuna na tinitingnan natin dahil these are also the vaccines na talagang ginagawa nila ng paraan para lang matest nila yung bakuna nila against this variant. Kasi itong mga bakuna na to are already being purchased in countries where these variants are already dominant, no? Kagaya ng sa UK, sa US, no? Pfizer also tested their efficacy against the variant B117, and then they found it that it's 80% effective against the B117. The data from Israel is also very impressive, like 80% against the B117. So more or less, we have this data na talagang may mga advantage itong mga bakuna na to because ginawa ng paraan. We don't have much data with Sinovac, with the Sputnik as of this moment, no? Yung mga Novavax, they have their own data. So far, those are the current vaccine efficacy with the different variant. Ang pinaka-problema ngayon, Sir Cito, na yung sa Brazilian variant kasi mukhang hindi pa nila na pag-aralan anong mga bakuna talagang effective against the Brazilian variant.
Well, it's good that you mentioned that because based on the things I have researched or watched or read, medyo itong Brazilian variant ang kinakabahan sila sa Amerika. Sinasabi ng mga ilang napanood ko doon at napakinggan ko, ay sabi, nako, kakaiba itong Brazilian variant, super fast, faster than the UK variant. Anong observation mo or kaalaman mo? What do you know about this, Dr. Rontgene?
Yeah, the Brazilian variant, kasi yung mutation talaga niya is really napaka-varied, no? And it involved the most sensitive part ng virus na to that will bind our cells. So yun talagang tinitweak niya na to the point napakaas ng transmissibility rate niya. Now, I would just like to mention this one. There are also data now that in some efficacy of the variant, like halimbawa, effective ka sa South African variant, you can also have a cross protection with the other variant, no, like B117 at saka sa Brazilian variant. So I think these are the things what we're looking positive sa mga bagong bakuna na to dahil kung maski hindi mo pinag-aralan itong isang variant but you have some protection with this variant, automatic yan, meron ka ng protection doon sa mga other variants of concern.
Okay, Doc Rontgene, I was reading the headlines regarding what was revealed dun sa Sinovac, no, na sinabi nung opisyal sa China na admittedly 50% or 54% lang sila ang efficacy ng kanilang bakuna. Now, in reaction to that, some people report that China is considering cross or blended vaccination, meaning may pinag-iisipan silang paghaluan. I don't know. I know there is a term they used. I'm just using blended vaccines dahil mas naiintindihan yan dito sa Pilipinas. What are your thoughts on this? Kasi may mga nagsabing kung nabakunahan ka ng Sinovac, hindi ka dapat mabakunahan ng Astra or etc. or as the case may be.
Okay. Sa bakuna, no, pwede naman yung i-mix mo yung bakuna, but you have to get the data for that, no? Hindi lang porke na ito, bigay ko to, diretso. You need to do some studies on that dahil hindi natin alam pag iba mo yung isang platform, how will it affect the antibody response ng unang platform, no? But in a way, parang sinabi ko na rin, pwede, no? But we need more data. Now, on that aspect na sa China na 54% and they want to give more protection doon and they want to give a higher efficacy vaccine. Sa akin, okay lang yan because they have the money, they have the capability to really do that, no? Because kung sasabihin mo lang na I have Sinovac now and I can buy Pfizer or Moderna because I have this money, walang problema lang. Ang ano lang doon is are there supply for Pfizer or Moderna vaccine na o ibibigay nila doon sa parang i-supplement nila doon sa Sinovac. That's another story kasi ang problema talaga ngayon, Sir Cito, is the limited supply of the different vaccines.
Okay, Doc Rontgene, we have that problem, limited supplies. Now, other people are wondering, ito bang bakuna, where are we as far as vaccines go? Kasi initially, we all thought, if I get vaccinated, hey, zona libre, I'm free, I'm bulletproof. And now, there is more and more data, more and more communications or talk going out na, well, not really. It will just prevent you from being killed by COVID-19. So, yung bang bakuna natin to prevent us from getting sick? Kasi may nagsabi, to prevent you from being seriously ill. Ngayon, pag sinabi mong seriously ill sa COVID-19, ibig sabihin naka-intubate ka, naka-respirator ka, naka-prone position ka. Ano ba? Ano ba talaga? Pag nabakunahan ako, let's say Sinovac, at tinamaan ako ng kahit anong variants na ito, what can I expect, Doc Rontgene? Based on, may nakita ka na ba dyan sa San Lazaro of a patient vaccinated and tinamaan pa rin ng COVID? And what was it like?
So far, wala pa kaming nakita ngayon na nabakunahan tapos nagka-infection, no? Dito, na-admit na merong moderate or severe. So far, wala pa, no? Sana naman wala. And because we still rely that this vaccine is effective in prevention of the more moderate or severe symptom, no? Sa pagbakuna kasi, like in this pandemic, ang impactful na tawag natin, endpoint ng bakuna, clinical endpoint, is always it will prevent you from getting sick, getting the more severe infection, getting the getting the more critical type of the infection, because ito yung mga type of infection na that will really be a burden sa healthcare facility natin. Okay lang yung mga pasipon-sipon, yung mga counting mga sore throat, even if you were vaccinated, but what we really want, no? Kaya yun yung palagi nating sinasabi, if that vaccine can protect you against bringing you to the hospital, then get that vaccine.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so wala pa tayong sample. Sorry to use the word, no, pero wala pa tayong sample sa mga hospital na kasi sinasabi nila yung mga PSG doc tinamaan ng COVID-19, mga 40 ba yun, sabi nila, pero sabi ko nga, ano kaya nangyari, were they vaccinated, etc., etc. So you don't know of any case yet of vaccinated people contracting COVID-19?
So far as I have been handling cases for the past 6 months na introduce ng bakuna, so far wala pa kaming na-encounter na meron kaming pasyente na sinabing na bakunahan ako and then develop moderate to severe infection.
Okay, that's good news. Doc Rontgene, we'll go for a quick break. When we come back, I would like to request you, can you please walk us through kung tamaan ng isang tao ng COVID-19 and mag-progress, ano yung magiging experience niya dyan sa San Lazaro or in any other hospital? Ano yung haharapin ng kanilang mga kamag-anak? Kasi my purpose is, hopefully, if people understand what the nightmare is like, na to have COVID and go through the hospital, maybe they will start thinking twice about going out. Kasi I am personally handling a couple of cases of similar situation na hindi ko kamag-anak, tumutulong ako. It's a financial nightmare. It's an emotional roller coaster. So we'll go for a quick break. When we come back, please walk us through, Doc Rontgene. We'll be right back here on Agenda. Welcome back to the program agenda. I'm your host, Cito Beltran, and with us for the first part of the show, our first interview, Dr. Rontgene Solante, Infectious Diseases Head, San Lazaro Hospital. Okay, Doc Rontgene. Doc Rontgene, medyo para akong tatrangkasuhin. Nilalagnat po ako at makatin lalamunan ko. Ano po ba dapat kong gawin?
Okay, so sa mga merong sintomas no, at home, ang first thing is you have to isolate yourself sa bahay. Okay? And then once you are isolated, observe. Tapos importante dyan, ang testing. So you need to contact, there are home care or home service laboratories ngayon that will also do the test for you. Tapos you need to tell yung kasama nyo sa bahay na you have to be isolated and there should be no contact with them, pwedeng text, but you have to be in the room. Now, napaka-importante dito, no? Especially na-observe namin, may mga type of patient, yung mga 50 years old and above with comorbidities. During the first 5 days, they're okay. And then during the 6th, 7th day, 8th day, they will still think that they're okay, but they're beginning to get weaker. Okay? Yung symptoms na yan is already a signal, a sign na talagang it's going to be severe, no? It's important if they have this pulse oximeter sa bahay, no, at saka yung blood pressure to monitor himself, no. Yung blood pulse oximeter will tell you ano yung oxygen content ng katawan mo. Sometimes even at 85%, they are still okay, Cito, no, but they already felt very tired. Talagang ano na yan, parang bagsak na yung katawan. And that's already a bad sign because most of our experience when they go to the hospital, but it's always late. Their oxygen saturation dropped to less than 80%. They are already in the ER. Titingnan mo yung sa ER. 10, 20 kayo doon sa emergency room. Tapos bago kayo makapasok doon, talagang katakot-takot pa yan na, sandali lang kasi talagang gagawan pa namin ng paraan. Kasi punong-puno ang ER. So ang pinakaanon dyan is minsan sa tent na lang, no? So talagang napakahirap ngayon ma-admit. Tapos pag iakyat ka na doon sa taas, wala ka nang kasama yung mga relatives mo, hindi mo na pwedeng maisama doon sa taas sa room kasi you are already isolated. And these are some of the talagang napakalungkot ng mga experience ng ibang pasyente, but we tried to appease them always, no. Ang problema dito pag sa ICU pa na talagang critical na yung pasyente, no, and we need to give everything na para at least lang maano yung pasyente.
Okay, so first, mga kaibigan, medyo para kayong tatrangkasuhin. Mahina ang pakiramdam nyo ni mayroon kayong ubo o kaya nawawala yung panlasa ninyo. Sabi ni Doc Rontgene, isolate. Sabihan nyo yung mga kamag-anak nyo, lumayo kayong lahat sa akin kung ayaw ninyong madisgrasya. Pangalawa, tumawag na kayo sa Red Cross, sa barangay. Kadalasan po, huwag kayong matakot sa barangay nyo kasi nasa kanila lahat ng koneksyon para mapuntahan kayo, para i-testing kayo. Ngayon, sinabi ni Doc Rontgene, yung oximeter, pulse oximeter. Napakaliit lang pong gadget noon, mga 1,800 yata yan o 2,000. Sasabihin, naku, Kuya Cito, wala ako noon. Mamili ka. Bili ka ng oximeter para malaman mo kung yung oxygen mo sa dugo ay mataas pa o maghintay ka ng huling minuto, nagtipid ka, gagastos ka rin naman ng libo-libo sa ospital, pati sa palibing sa inyo. Okay? Pati po yung sa heart, yung sa yung ano ba tawag natin doon, Doc? Yung sa yung sa
Blood pressure.
Blood pressure, no? Napaka-importante po yun, Tapos pupunta na tayo ngayon sa ospital. Hindi, wala na kasi masama na talaga pakiramdam ko, Doc, no? Bumaba na yung aking oxygen below. Ano ba yun? Kasi sabi nila dapat ang oxygen level mo 97 and above.
94% and above. So dapat ma-maintain mo yung 94%.
Okay. Pag bumaba ka na ng 94%, nanghihina ka na, diretso ka na sa ospital. So ngayon, pag dinala ka sa ospital, anong mangyayari dyan sa triage, Doc Rontgene?
So sa triage, i-classify din natin kung what stage of the infection are you. Kasi magkaiba yun. No? Pag moderate, meaning stable ka pa. So you will stay there. Tapos yung monitoring may not be as close as those patients na talagang mababa na yung oxygen, which are the more severe and the critical, no? So talagang prioritize natin yung severe and critical to the point na in some instances, even at the level of the AR, we do hook them to ventilator already, no? Yung talagang kailangan silang mag-intubate. Hindi natin usually ginagawa yan before, but since this is in a pandemic and there are a lot of patients in the emergency room, we really have to do that sa emergency room pa lang. And there are a lot of instances that they will be staying in the emergency room for 3, 4, 5 days until such time na merong bakante sa taas or even sa ICU.
Okay, so malalagi ka muna dun sa tent hanggang madetermine na, medyo delikado na itong isang to, ipasok na. Dahil sa dami ng tao, wala po diyang pinipiling favoritism o edad, etc. Kung sino yung pinaka nangangailangan, yun ang makakaabot sa emergency room. Yung issue sa oxygen at saka gamot, Doc Rontgene, kasi pasensya ka na, kung minsan ako sa pagnanais ko, in my desire to help people, I just keep telling people, just call your doctor and ask for medicines and treat yourself. And then ngayon, meron ng hospital na nag-o-offer daw ng home care. Paano ba itong home care, Doc Rontgene?
Yeah, malaking tulong ang home care kasi it's just like a patient na nandun lang sa bahay but they are constantly monitored by hospital staff on their status, no? And in fact, there are also hospitals who are giving them the medications right there at home na talagang ibibigay lang doon sa bahay to the point na minomonitor din sila. So it's something na an extension of the hospital siya na bahay. Ang nagkakaiba lang, talagang nandun ka sa bahay and then even the healthcare worker who will be going there will also be wearing the PPE, no?
Okay, matanong ko lang, Doc Rontgene, kasi medyo ito brutal itong tanong ko, no? I'll use myself as an example. I am a senior citizen. I turn 65 tomorrow. I have 5 stents in my chest. I have COPD. I have hepatitis B. I have, ano pa ba? Hindi ko na matanda sa dami ng tama ko eh. Sabi ko sa asawa ko, alam mo, tamaan ako, isolate na lang ako. Kung matuluyan ako, pasensyaan na tayo. Kasi what are the chances of a person like me, if I got COVID-19, what are my survival rates? Because someone said to me, doktor din, hindi ko na lang babanggitin, sabi na, Cito, we're fast approaching that point where we may have to choose between a 75-year-old and a 45-year-old who makes it to the ICU. Because we've found out that senior citizens, upper senior citizens, only have a 25% chance of survival.
Yeah, totally agree with that, no? Kasi sa pagpasok pa lang nila sa emergency room, and when you have a 45-year-old and a 75-year-old, both of them intubated, no? And then we have to decide sino ang sa ICU. Ang talagang may chance of survival is the 45 years old. The 75 years old is really something that taas talaga ng mortality. Plus the fact marami kang mga comorbidities, it's really a big, it's an uphill in terms of how we will be able to cope up with COVID.
Okay, now we keep hearing, Doc Rontgene, about intubation, plasma. Kunyari, biglang nakita mo ako dun sa triage, nangingitim na ako, nag-aabo na ako, oxygen saturation, below 80 na, etc. Dadalin mo na ako ngayon sa emergency or sa ICU. Ano ba yung gagawin sa akin? Pinagsasaksak ninyo sa akin para buhayin ako. So that people understand, and what are the costs involved?
So first, we have to maintain yung oxygen. So talagang i-connect mo yan sa mechanical ventilator. A mechanical ventilator pa lang, per day ang rate niyan. And it will cost like 10,000 to 20,000 a day. That's it, no? Tapos may mga antibiotic ka na medyo mataas ng antibiotic. So we'll say you're given an antibiotic that is 3 to 4 times a day. And that one antibiotic will cost you 10,000, 15,000. So that's times 4. So more or less, more than 100,000.
50, oo.
Tapos meron ka pang ibibigay yung mga antiviral na remdesivir, no? So more or less that's like one vial or like 7 to 10,000 depende kung paano yung charging sa hospital. Mataas na hospital, taas ang charging niyan. May add
Oo.
up, no? Tapos yung tocilizumab, then you have the steroids, you have the IV fluid, no? And then
Yung
you have
tocilizumab daw yung 400 milligram, 26,000 na eh.
Oh yes, yun
Oo.
yun. No, that's the at cost price pag kunin mo doon sa manufacturer.
Oo.
Pero hindi ang cost niyan pag pupunta sa hospital. May tubo yan, hindi naman pwedeng at cost lang pagbenta mo niyan, no? So, pwedeng
Okay.
50% ang ipatong niyan, 60%. That's how the rate of the having COVID, no? Sa critical. And even in the not critical, if you are given those medications, yung high flow, meron tayong tinatawag na high flow nasal cannula machine, no?
Yung kinabit kay ERAP, kay President Estrada.
Oo, so it's like a ventilator but the difference there, hindi mo siya i-intubate, wala kang tubo. So you can still speak, no? Comfortable sa pasyente. So there's also a rate for that in like
Magkano yun?
medyo mataas din, no? So siguro mababa lang ng konti sa mechanical ventilator but it will not be as low as 5,000. So per day 'yon, no? Na paggamit. Ang isang crucial diyan yung oxygen mo. Yung isang tangke ng oxygen mo, kung kailangan mo ng mataas ang oxygen requirement mo, yung 3-4 na tangke sa isang araw, medyo kulang yan. Average yan is 2 tanks a day. So 3, 4, or even 5 tanks a day kung kailangan mo ng mataas na oxygen requirement. So these are the expenses na mainly on a daily basis, hindi lang to isang gamit, on a daily basis. You can imagine a patient being in the hospital for 7 days and the bill is already like 1 million. That's normal.
Okay, paano na yung mga pasyente mo dyan sa San Lazaro, Doc Rontgene? Kasi alam mo, medyo napanood ko yung ulat sa bayan no isang araw, nagkapikunan si Secretary Roque at saka yung isang reporter kasi may nagtanong, anong ginagawa mo dyan sa PGH? Daming nakapila dyan na namamatay, ba't ka nandyan? Medyo napikon yata si Secretary Roque. But that's a different topic. Now, what is the situation in San Lazaro? Paano na yung mga pasyente nyo dyan?
Well, sa San Lazaro naman, because this is subsidized by the government, everything is free, no? Especially meron kang PhilHealth, no? In some instances, halimbawa yung remdesivir, kung wala talagang makukuha yan, then we have to outsource that, no? And that will be out of pocket sa pasyente, but that will still be reimbursed through PhilHealth, no? So ang importante lang dito na in a government, mas mataas talaga ang difference when you are in a private because all of the expenses will be shouldered by the hospital sa pag-government.
Okay, pero yung sabi mo kanina, the average, your estimate was 7 days. I mean, what is the reality? In general, yung mga napasok sa emergency room at sa ICU or emergency room man lang, gaano katagal, how long do people stay, COVID patients stay in the hospital with those daily charges? On the average, how long?
On average, pag moderate ka lang, ang average na is between 10 to 14 days, no? But if you are severe to critical, kulang yung 3 weeks dyan, no? Especially pag intubated ka. So talagang kung maganda naman ang ano mo na ang survival rate mo, tumatagal ka, no? Pero pag severe na critical, minsan kung talagang wala na, less than 7 days, yun, hindi na kaya. So yun nga yung napakasad dito na the number lesser of days in severe critical dahil tigok ka na, but if you survive, mas mataas din ang longer din ang stay mo because you need to be taken care of at saka i-maintain natin yung mga gamot para lang to survive.
Okay, we're down to our last 2 minutes and I have to ask Doc Rontgene, ano yung sinasabi kasi I'm helping and a lot of us in Victory Christian Fellowship here in Lipa are working together to support our pastor who is in the critical in the ICU. Ngayon, while we are all praying for his recovery, some people were mentioning na to me, Kuyang, there's going to be the cost involved for rehabilitation. Ano yung rehabilitation for survivors?
Yeah, this is what we call pulmonary rehab. No, so when these survivors are out of the oxygen, or sometimes they will not be off the oxygen for how many days after the recovery period because of what we call the long COVID. Yung long COVID na yan will take more than several days for your lungs to recover. So sometimes you need this oxygen and you need somebody to teach you how to breathe, to exercise your lungs para at least mas mapabilis ang recovery ng breathing mo.
Okay. Sige, Doc, baka one of these days pwede mo akong bigyan ng resource person, therapist na magtuturo kung paano huminga. Kasi may nagsabi sa akin pasyente, Kuyang, kung alam ko lang na yung exercise na yon, dun pa lang sa hospital ginagawa ko na sana yung exercise na yon. But anyway, Doc Rontgene, last question, may naglabas ang Octa Research Group saying na, well, they are not in a position to say what kind of quarantine we should be. They have they've said na sana ECQ kasi hindi mapapabilis yung pagtigil ng hawahan. What is the reality there in San Lazaro? Malaki bang bagay na nag-ECQ, and do you believe we should continue under ECQ and not MECQ?
Unang-una, malaking bagay pag nag-ECQ ka because you decrease the mobility of people. So when you decrease the mobility of people, you decrease the risk of getting the infection. No? So when you look at people here in San Lazaro, talagang lahat yung mga pasyente dito, he really has history of going out. And then most of the transmission now is somebody's going out, lahat sa pamilya, kabit-kabit na, nagkaka-infection. Kaya itong 2 weeks na ECQ, I felt na mukhang kulang pa talaga to na makita natin yung impact in the next 2 weeks. Kasi we haven't felt yet, even in most hospitals, we haven't felt yet na bumababa ang kaso.
You haven't felt that cases, or you don't see it yet that the cases are going down? No. They're still going up?
Yes.
Okay, well, that says it all. Doc Rontgene Solante, maraming salamat as always. And I hope to interview you again for the purpose of educating our kababayans. God bless you, Doc, and stay strong, stay safe, and stay healthy, please.
Thank you, Sir Cito. Stay safe also.
Okay, yan po si Doc Rontgene Solante. Uulitin ko lang yung sinabi niya, lalo na kayong mga 50 years old and above. Okay? Mararamdaman ninyo, okay, makinig ka, Telma, okay? Mararamdaman ninyo, ay parehata akong tatrangkasuhin. So, hihigan nyo, tutulugan nyo, at magpapahinga kayo, mag-isolate kayo ng ilang araw, tapos biglang, mag-iinat-inat kayo, malakas na ako, I feel stronger, I feel better, I'm not infected by COVID, and you go out. And then, after 5 days, according to Doc Rontgene, that's when all hell breaks loose. Okay? Diyan kayo tatamaan ng severe COVID. Kasi mabuti pa yung tamaan ka sa umpisa. May mga kaibigan ako, tinamaan ka agad sa umpisa, nawala yung panlasa, medyo biglang, mahina. Pero hindi sila nag-severe, hindi sila nag-critical. Yung sabi ni Doc Rontgene, yung biglang, I feel better. Tapos on the 5th, 6th day, ayan, sa pool, critical. Mag-ingat po tayo dyan. We'll go for a quick break, and when we return, usapang puso naman dito sa Batangas kasi meron pong program dito sa Batangas. A lot of people are focusing on COVID and forgetting about other problems like cardiac problems or heart problems. We'll be right back here on Agenda. Welcome back to the program Agenda. I'm your host, Cito Beltran. And just as I've said in the past, we are broadcasting live from Lipa City. Dito po sa aming maliit na farm. Kasi hindi mo masabing pwedeng party. Sobrang liit eh. Wala pang kalahating ektarya lang no? Kasama na lahat, pati kapitbahay. In any case, the reason I mentioned that is because I was just told by one of the top hospitals here na meron na raw silang program. Yung Mary Mediatrics ba din sa Lipa City, meron na raw silang program para tungkol sa puso, sa pangangalaga ng puso or taking care of cardiac concerns. And ako po, I mean, you know, I will often always go to Manila, to the Philippine Heart Center. Dr. Ho, Dr. Merlo Mendoza, good morning to you guys. Thank you for keeping me alive. Thank you, Lord, for giving me life. But we have our next guest para hindi maubusan ng oras. Dr. Ariel Miranda, Director Code HB Program. Dr. Michael Charles Tabora, Advisor Code HB Program. Doc Miranda, good morning, sir.
Hi, good morning.
And Doc Michael, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Sir Cito. Magandang umaga po.
Good morning.
Okay, alam mo, pasensya na kayo, natagalan. Matagal ko na gusto talagang gawin itong interview na ito. I am happy to learn that there is actually a program, a movement here in Lipa City where people can go or refer themselves to kung may problema sa puso. Gentlemen, mauna na kung sino yung dapat mauna, pero paki-explain nga itong HB or Code HB or Heart of Batangas.
Siguro ako na mauna, Sito.
Okay.
Actually, ang naging problema natin, although there had been advances in taking care of the heart, alam mo naman yun, di ba, yung mga coronary angioplasty, hindi ito nag-filter down to the provinces, especially yung heart attack. So when we did our survey, nakita namin na napakataas na mortality rate sa probinsya. And that's why we thought that, bakit ganon? Bakit sa Manila? Even in Manila, hindi rin masyado nag-filter down to the masses. So maganda yung treatment, pero yung sistema may problema. They're not getting out to the people. And the best way to do that would be to have what's known as a STEMI network, wherein you have a hub hospital and it's connected to feeder hospitals that are the ones referring heart attack. So kasi ang naging experience namin, hindi na sila umaabot sa secondary hospital o tertiary hospital. Doon na lang sila minamanage sa primary hospital.
Oo, kasi ang pagkakaintindi kasi, and forgive me, Doc Miranda, no, kasi medyo ang pagkakaintindi kasi ng marami, parang, kung may problema, doon ako sa Maynila, doon ako sa mga malalaking ospital. And I for one am guilty of that because when I had a minor, I call it a minor, pero it really scared the shit out of me. I had a minor incident here in Lipa. My doctor, my attending physician, cardiologist, Doc Merlo Mendoza said, "Kuyang, pumunta ka na sir diyan sa sa Mediatrics." Sabi ko, kaya ko pa magmaneho. Nakainom na ako ng Isodril. Tutuloy na ako ng heart center. Sinabihan ako ng intern doon sa heart center. May sayad ka rin sa ulo, no, sir. Nandun na yung hospital, pumunta ka pa sa Manila. So, you're correct there, Dr. Miranda. No? Now, Dr. Tabora, can you add on to what Doc Miranda said?
Well, of course, here at the Mediatric Heart Institute po, Sir Cito, We have what we call a cath lab, which has been in existence since 2011. We are the only cath lab here in Batangas. When you say cath lab, dito po ang ginagawa po yung mga coronary angiogram at mga emergency angioplasties dito po sa province ng Batangas. Napaka-importante po sa isang region o sa isang probinsya ang may ganito pong cath lab at sa ganitong setup kasi sa ganitong pagkakataon, naagapan agad po ang mga may mga sakit sa puso. They are able to receive urgent care, madadiagnose properly at makita naman po agad. So napaka-importante po noon. So we've been in existence for the past 11 years. The Code HB program, which HB stands for Heart of Batangas program, has been in existence for the last 4 years. And we're happy to say na marami na po kami mga pasyenteng natulungan, marami na po kami pasyenteng naagapan, and they have received the emergency care that they need. So this is a program, ang ginagawa po namin, we have community consultations, we've done lectures throughout all the different hospitals in the 30 plus towns here in Batangas, and we have set up a network para maging isang organisadong network para matulungan natin ang mga pasyente, and of course we also help the general practitioners. Of course we are in a provincial setting, sa isang provincial setting, not all towns and municipalities have access to cardiologists. So kung may mga tumatawag po dito sa hotline po namin, as mga cardiologists, all of us are very active in this program. Tinutulungan po namin yung mga general practitioners, internists po sa paggagamot ng pasyente, and we facilitate, of course, their transfer to the hospital that can do primary PCIs and also yung mga coronary angiograms, of course, dito sa Mediatrix. So it's part of our commitment, of course, not only to diagnose, not only to heal, but to heal as soon as possible. Because every second counts, napaka-importante po ng time po, from the time na ma-diagnose ang pasyente hanggang sa maibigay ang treatment po dito sa ating acute coronary syndrome, so yung mga tinatawag na heart attack po.
Okay, Dr. Miranda, what is the situation in the province of Batangas in terms of dedicated cardiac response? Kumbaga, I don't know what the right term is, no? Kumbaga, may tinamaan sa atake de corazon o may problema sa puso sa mga barabarangay natin. Meron ba tayong katulad sa heart center na meron silang sarili nilang ambulansya para lang dun sa mga ganon? And then, do our clinics or small first, ang tawag mo doon, first level hospitals ba yun? Primary care, meron bang clinics or hospital, meron ba silang mga gamit para malaman kagad, ay nako, padala na ito sa Mediatrix dahil delikado ito?
Actually, nag-umpisa kami niyan 5 years ago, walang sistema. No system at all. And a lot of the patients were being managed in the primary and secondary hospitals. Tapos, pag lumala na lang, saka sila dinadala sa tertiary hospital. Or patient mismo ang mag-request na, "Doc, parang di ako gumagaling, ilipat mo na ako." So that was the situation then. And that's why we developed the first STEMI network in the Philippines so that magiging coordinated yung referral to the main hospital. And in addition to that, hindi lang yung referral ang importante dyan eh. Gina-guide namin yung doktor kung ano yun. Number one, hindi naman lahat kasi ng chest pain dahil sa heart, diba? O heart attack. So, doon pa lang, in consultation, may Viber group kami. Sinasabi na namin sa kanila, ito heart attack po, itong dapat mong gawin. Kasi alam mo naman sa probinsya, hindi naman puro emergency medicine physician ang nagmamana ng heart. Minsan pediatrician, minsan surgeon, minsan GP. It's not like in Manila where a lot of the ERs are manned by ER medicine. Sa probinsya, ibang setup eh. No? Do you know that in Southeast Asia we have one of the highest mortality rates for heart attack? Napakataas natin compared to, for example, Thailand. Thailand has, I think, by now 15 to 16 STEMI networks all throughout the Philippines. Tayo, dadalawa pa lang. Kami yung first dito sa rural setting, and then the second is in Pasig, TMC, no? Sa urban setting naman sila. And what we want to do is to replicate this throughout the Philippines. Kasi wala nang organization eh.
Okay, so ginawa nyo na yan sa Batangas. Kaswerte ko naman meron na sa Pasig kung saan ako naninirahan at meron na rin dito sa Lipa, sa Batangas, sa Lipa kung saan din ako naninirahan. Para ako namamangka sa dalawang hospital Anyway, Doc Miranda, what is the reception? Gumaganda ba ang statistics natin o nagkukulang pa rin kasi sabi mo nga, it is not being cascaded, it is not being filtered down. What do we need to do for people to realize? Kasi isa ring problema, at tatapatin ko kayo, masyadong sikat yung Mary Mediatrix, medyo ninenervyos kaming pumunta dyan kuminsan. Ako nagpupunta ako dyan pag emergency. Pero on the normal, parang can afford ba namin yan?
Actually, ang pinaka-importante dyan, education. No? And then the second most important is somebody to help fund the medical expense. Kasi kung titingnan mo, ang major reason ba't hindi nabibigay sa pasyente yung pinaka-importante treatment, which is angioplasty, is because wala silang ibabayad. And ang medyo irony dito, we know that heart disease or heart attacks is the number one killer in the Philippines, pero ang nakukuha lang ng pasyente sa PhilHealth ay 30,000. Now, hindi naman tumitigil ang society dyan. We are actually having a dialogue with PhilHealth. We are now at the level of the technical committee where we are going to try to come out with a Z package. Sana may matira pang pera after the pandemic. Pero kung di nag-pandemic, dapat may C package na tayo for heart.
Matanong ko lang, Dr. Miranda, you said 30,000. I don't get that because doon sa mga press release ng mga nakaraang presidente at saka PR ng PhilHealth, sinasabi nila merong, 700 ba yun? 750?
For bypass.
Kung angioplasty, kung nalagyan ka lang ng
30,000 pa lang.
Paano nangyari yung Doc Miranda? Yung tubo pa lang, 100,000 na
Yun na nga ang irony doon. No? It's the number one killer, but it's not getting the necessary share. Kung titignan mo, you know what is catastrophic expenditure? That's when a family spends at least 40,000 of its annual income for healthcare. Nang gumawa ng survey ang Mary Mediatrix, and this is published at the Philippine Journal of Cardiology, 80 to 90% ng family sa Lipa experience catastrophic expenditure after a heart attack.
Kumbaga nalipon, naubos yung kanilang ipon, nagkaubos-ubos yung mga ari-arian just to shoulder the expense of a catastrophic medical incident. Now, Dr. Tabora, matanong ko lang, what should Batanggenyos do para maiwasan yung sinasabi ni Dr. Miranda na catastrophe? Kasi personal experience, quickly lang, I had a choice, 2D echo and stress machine or magpa-angiogram. Sabi ko doon sa doktor ko, Doc, na-stress na ako akala ko mamamatay na ako kahapon. Pagkatapos ngayon, i-stress mo na naman ako. Pwede ba mag-angiogram na lang tayo? Kasi palagay ko naman, kikitahin ko yung pambayad. Yun dyan sa inyo, yung pa-angiogram, etc. Magkano ba yan at paano ba dapat ang gawin ng mga medyo meron ng kutob na may problema sila?
Well, Sir Cito, what's important there are two words actually. Number one is prevention. Number two is education. When you see about prevention and education, what we usually do is, of course, you see the patients, ina-educate po natin sila. Katulad po dito sa Mary Mediatrix, we have regular seminars, webinars with regards to the heart. Ang ano po natin, dapat malaman po ng pasyente, of course, yung mga signs and symptoms, of course, ng heart attack. Of course, kung nakakaramdam na po sila ng mga chest pain na madalas, kung sila ay may mga laboratories na previously katulad ng mga laboratories like blood examinations na matataas ang cholesterol, diabetic, tinitingnan natin yung mga high-risk population with symptoms, then we go for further diagnostic workup, mga diagnostic testing. Pero of course, with patients with heart attack, dapat alam po nila ano po ba mga symptoms na inaatake sa puso ng isang pasyente Ang meron tayong tinatawag, of course, yung chest heaviness, mabigat ng dibdib sa substernal area dito sa gitna o kaya sa left anterior chest wall na nagre-radiate towards the arm. Aside from that, yung mga pasyenteng may mga diabetic po, meron tayong mga anginal equivalents, minsan nahihirapan huminga o nagkakaroon din ng epigastric pain. Pero of course, there's a pandemic right now. A lot of patients do not have access to the hospital. Natatakot po sila pumunta dito sa hospital. You go to
Oo.
Metro Manila or any part of the country, patients are afraid. Mary Mediatrics has made it a point to have teleconsults sa aming mga pasyente. We continue to have teleconsults with our patients every day and we continue to guide them.
Meron ba kayong lumalabas para kumolekta ng dugo para ma-check muna
Yes po,
kasi
meron kaming home on wheels po na pwedeng accessible
okay.
po. Nasa website naman po namin napupuntahan, pati ECG po, pwede po natin gawin. Because of course, the pandemic is never an excuse for delayed healthcare. Kahit po may pandemic, the hospital is open 24 hours. May mga pagkakataon in the last 2 weeks because of this surge, nagsara po yung aming emergency room for COVID cases. But of course, we try to make it an effort as much as possible para marating po namin, ma-reach out po kami sa mga pasyente po namin. Because nga,
Okay.
delayed diagnosis will also lead to catastrophic events. So kung mga
Okay.
kinakailangan, our heart station is always open. Yung mga diagnostic procedures namin, open din naman po. And of course,
So,
a cardiologist is always a telephone
yeah.
call away.
Mabilisan lang, Dr. Tabora or Dr. Miranda, whoever is in the position to mention it, no? Yung blood test, magkano yan?
Dr. Tabora na lang.
Dr. Tabora.
Well, it depends, Sir Tito. Of course, what's our usual? We do usually a CBC, chemistries,
Hindi, yung
mga...
profile, yung pang-profile para malaman mo kung may problema sa puso.
Sa profile, of course, yung mga prevention of risk factors, we do usually ang mga Chem 8, Chem 10, 8 or Chem 12 ang ginagawa natin. Pinaka-basic, nasa range po mga 2,000 to 3,000 po
Okay.
siya.
Tapos
Tapos, of course, yung troponin sa kapuso, yung mga troponin po, nasa 2,000 naman po. 2,000 to
okay.
3,000.
Yung mga 2D echo.
2D echo is 3,495, if I'm not
Okay.
mistaken. Ang
Yung-
ECG po namin ay 490 po.
Yung stress test,
Ang stress test po, less than 2,000 po. Ang alam
less
ko po.
than test. Yung angiogram, magkano po?
Well, ang angiogram po, may mga packages naman po tayo, pero because of the pandemic, nasa level na mga 60,000 plus po.
60,000. Okay, pero pwede pa yan sa PhilHealth, di ba?
Yes po, meron pa tayong mga deductions,
Bumababa.
meron din po tayong senior din po.
Okay, kanya ako po tinatanong ito mga kaibigan, hindi ko pinopromote yung Mary Mediatrics o yung mga kanilang mga lab services. Gusto ko lang pong, I just wanna point out to you that putting all of that together, it is still cheaper than paying for a coffin and a funeral. Okay, derechahan na po tayo. As Dr. Miranda pointed out, there are so many people who are just falling down or collapsing, dying of a heart attack because we, the patients, did not take the first step to take care of ourselves. Anyway, gentlemen, bibigyan ko pa rin kayo ng future opportunities pero naubusan na tayo ng oras. Malalim kasi itong HB, Heart of Batangas, code HB. But anyway, thank you for joining us this morning and you can count on our support to promote you. Thank you very much.
Salamat. Good
Thank you, Sir
morning.
Cito. Advance happy birthday po.
Advance
Thank
happy
you.
birthday.
Okay, thank you. That's Dr. Ariel Miranda, Director, Code HB Program. Dr. Michael Charles Tabora, Advisor, Code HB Program. And ako po, si Cito Beltran, nagpapasalamat sa inyo. And I just want to thank the good Lord for miracles that happened yesterday for my friend, for some of the family, for some of the people I know who were able to miraculously overcome COVID-19 na bagamat talagang sadlak na sila sa dusa emotionally, financially, struggling spiritually, but God in His faithfulness came across, faithfully delivered, and a number of them medyo naka-recover. So, you know, we will relish, count, and promote and talk about the victories as little or as big as they may be. Every victory counts. Okay, God bless all of you. Keep on praying and keep on watching Agenda. Bye-bye.